Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amir. Today we are going to learn how to create cascading parameter report, and for that one we will be creating some store procedure and use Dynamic SQL. So I have created a report with the cascading parameter and a video and uploaded. But today one of the viewer he was asking if we can create a report that's cascading, but that will be working something like this. So he was asking if he will be able to provide the first parameter as the column name. So let's say in this case we have a total sale table, and he was saying okay, the first parameter should be the column name. And so once he will provide the column name in that parameter, the next parameter should provide the values. So let's say if he select the region, so let me write this query right here. This is very interesting scenario, so I thought okay, I will do another video on this one. So if we are selecting the region from this table, the very first parameter he's going to provide is region name itself. So he's going to provide region, or he will provide country, any column name he will provide. But in this case, let's say he provided the region, the next parameter should return him all the regions. So in this case we have Asia, North America and Europe, but they should be distinct values. So that's what he wanted. And then the result set should be depending upon these values. So this is what he wanted. So I have created some store procedures and then created this report. So I'm going to walk you through all those steps and show you how this is going to work. First of all, I have created a main store procedure that accepts two things. One is a column name, so he can provide any column name, and that we will provide the list of those column names in the drop down as well. We will use a query. We don't have to write all of them, so we will use a query in the parameter that will get these column names for us. So once he will select that, this is main query that's going to run, and it is accepting a column name. And I have told this one okay, this is a main query, that's the name of a store procedure, and the column name is worker 100. If you feel like okay, this is small, you can go with 1000 or 500, whatever works best for you. And then there is a values parameter, that's 100. In this case that's small, I feel like okay, this should be 1000 at least, because there could be multiple values he will be, or somebody will be accepted. If we are really feeling that this is going to be whole lot, maybe 8000 will works best. So worker or n worker max, whatever you would like, but I'm going to go with worker 8000. Then we have as begin, and then what I'm doing here, I'm checking if a temp table, a global temp table is existing, and then I'm dropping that table. Why I would do that? Because if I will use just the Dynamic SQL and use that in the SSRS, it does not give me the column names. So that's the reason I'm using the temp table. So I'm creating this temp table, dropping this temp table here, recreating it, and at the end I have select query. If I would not have this select query and just have execute in SSRS, I would not get any column names. So that's the reason I have decided to use the global temp table. Now I'm dropping the global temp table here, and then I'm declaring a variable called @val and worker max. So here what I'm doing, whatever the values are provided here, they will be just think about it, they will be simply like this one. So they will be without these commas around them. But when we write our queries for select and within, we have to have the commas around our values. So what I'm doing here, I'm replacing that comma with the single quotes. So I'm preparing myself with the query. And then I'm declaring a SQL, that's nvarchar max, and I'm saying select id all those columns from this table, and I can use them in report. If I don't need the ID, I don't need it here. Let's say I'm not interested to show in the report, so I can leave that one. And then I'm using where the column name, whatever will be provided in the parameter, and use that one in and all those values, whatever we will provide in the second parameter. So that's how it's going to work. I'm printing my query so I can show you guys, and then I'm executing my query. Once I execute, it will be populating these all the columns or data in this temp table depending upon these where clause. And finally, I'm selecting the data from global temp table, and the next run it will be drop and recreated depending upon the values. It will be recreated. Now let's go ahead and create this store procedure. A store procedure is created. Now if we go ahead and run this query, if you execute this store procedure with the parameter, let's say country, and this is our column name, and I know the values of Pakistan and India are there. So if I will provide that one, let's see what it will return us. So this is what we will see. We see countries India and Pakistan, that's working correct. And then let's take a look. Yep, so we have provided country, and it's used out parameter in the where clause and say where country in Pakistan and India. So I can go ahead, let's say if I would like to use region here as my parameter, then I have to provide the region name. In this case, let's say if I will provide Europe, and now if I run this one, this is going to return me all the records where region is equal to Europe, and you can see that it's returning me all the records. So that's great. So we can take our this store procedure and run in the SSRS report, and then from there we will see like what else we need, and we will take the step-by-step approach. So I'm going to call this store procedure in the report first. So let's go to SSDT SQL Server Data Tools. I have a SSRS project already open. Right click on the reports, add new item, and click on the report. Now here you will be providing the name. So I'm going to call this one Cascading Parameter. Hit add. Empty report will be created. Right click on the data sources, add data source, provide the name. Let's call this one DS sales. Use share data source reference sales. I have already created this share data source. Hit OK. Right click on DataSet, add DataSet, and now you will be providing name. Let's call this one DataSet sales. It's going to be embedded data source, and now instead of a select query, we will be using a store procedure. Once you click on the store procedure, you will be presented with this drop down. So click on the drop down and you will see all those store procedures in the database, and in our case they are in the sales database, and our data source is pointing to that database. So click on the main query store procedure, go to the fields, and you can see all of those fields. If I would not have used this select asterisk from temp table, then I would not see those fields. That's why I'm creating and selecting the data from this temp table. Let's go back to SSDT, and now we have a go to parameter, and there are two parameters. One is called the column name, and other one is the @values. So these are the parameters. Right now we are not providing any value. Hit OK. Go to design surface, insert and table. So now you can create any report, whatever you want. You can create matrix, chart. In our case, I'm going to keep this one simple report. That's going to be table report or tablets report. Now here you will be providing the column names, and let's get them. Let's get country name, region, and then let's get state as well. Now we are pretty good. We can select all the columns whatever we need. In my case I'm selecting few of them, and I will be playing with these 3 columns or 4 of them. Let's give background color, preview the report. Now there are 2 parameters that we have to provide the value. First is the column name. So let's say if I will provide country, and then next I will provide Pakistan. View report. Now it is returning us all those records where our column country is equal to Pakistan. That's great. Next part, how about we will have a drop down for column name parameter. So let's go to the data set and add data set, and let's call this one column name, and go to the data set embedded in my report, select the data source, and here we will be providing the query. I have prepared the query already, so we are going to use that query. So I'm selecting the column name from information schema.columns view, and where table name is equal to total sale. So that's the table for which I want to have all the column names. So I'm selecting that one, copy, go back to the SSDT and provide your query. Excuse me for 1 second. These videos are long, so sometime I have to drink water. I have already made 2 videos. It's almost like from one hour I'm talking continuously. So I have provided this query right here. This is going to return me all those column names for my table called total sale. So hit OK. Now go to the parameters, and we have column name. Right click on the column name parameter, parameter properties, and then we are going to provide available values. So in the available values, get values from query and use the data set. In our case, column name data set. And OK, value field is the column name, and label as well the same. So hit OK. This is going to be single value parameter, as we are selecting one column and handling one column in our store procedure. So preview the report now, and as you can see that all those columns for our total sale table are right here. So we don't have to type anymore. So let's select a country now, and then here we will be providing India in our case. Now we'll see the data for India. Next, this is where we want to make it cascading. Instead of writing India or Pakistan or any country name, we would like to have the values depending upon the column we select here. Let's say if I will select city, I would like to have all those cities in the drop down. If I would like to select state, I would like to have everything in the drop down here, so I can select multiple values. This is not going to be just a simple select query. For this one also I have created a store procedure that we are gonna use. So let's take a look on that store procedure. So this is our multi-value store procedure. So what it is doing, so we are saying create procedure dbo column values. So get all those values for that column, and we are saying column name as a, we are taking that as a variable or input parameter, and then as begin we start in it, and we are creating actually we are checking if temp values table does exist or not. So if it does exist, we drop it, and then we declare another SQL, and we create this dynamic SQL. We say select column name whatever as well. So why I'm doing as well, because column name can change. So you can have region, you can have country, you can have sold date and data, and every time if this runs, once it is created in the SSRS, it's gonna, if it will change, it will fail. So I gave a constant name. I said okay, this is val, so it's a value in my temp values table from total sale. So get me all the values for that column in the temp table, and once I have this values in the global temp table, Then I execute this one, so it's going to execute and put the values in this table, and then I select distinct asterisk, or I can put val as well, so it doesn't matter because this is the column I have. I don't have more than one column, so from this table. So now if I create this store procedure, and I can use this store procedure in the SSRS report for my other data set that will accept a column name and then return me all those values by using this store procedure. So let's create this one now. One more thing I would like to mention here, why I'm using the global temp table, because as we are using a dynamic SQL and the scope is the dynamic SQL scope is to the new session, and if I will use just the temp table, once the dynamic SQL is done, it will not be available in this session. So that's why I'm creating global, and by doing it I will have access even once the dynamic SQL is completed. So that's why we are using global temp table. We are all good here, and we have this dbo.column store procedure created. Let's go to SSDT SQL Server Data Tools again, and in our report, and now click on the data sources. Sorry, add data sets, add data set, and here we will provide the name. So let's call this one val or values, ds values. We can call this one ds values. Use a data set embedded in my report, fine. This one is the same data source because our store procedures are in the sales database, and we said that okay, store procedure and provide the name, so this is going to be column values, and then we can check the fields if we would like to provide the value. So let's say we have region, and then say okay, and we see that column field is val, and then we have a parameter called column name. This is exactly the same parameter name what we have here. That's by purpose. So by doing it, this is going to make it cascading. Now hit OK, and next part what we need to do in the values, we go back and say parameter properties, and here this is going to be multiple values, allow multi values, and then in the available values we are going to say get values from the query, and we are going to use the val or ds vals data set here. So we will provide ds values and val and val, and that's it. So we have already done the column values by using the first data set. That's where we selected the columns name from information schema dot columns view. Here we have created a ds vals data set that accepts the column name as a parameter and then returns all the values. So this is going to be the cascading parameter. So hit OK now, and now if we preview the report, our report is ready with cascading parameter. So first we have column name here. Let me select country. Once I select country, I should have all those values for country, so that's working, and this is the store procedure used to return that value. So we selected the column name, it took that column name and selected that country name as well into this table, and this is running after that, and that's how we are getting those values. As one thing again I would like to tell, at the rate column name should be the same what we have in the parameter of our main store procedure. So that's how it is making cascading. Now let's select few of the countries. Let's say India and Pakistan. Now you will see the values for India and Pakistan. If I go back and select Germany, now I'm going to see more values, and here is Germany. So Let's go back. Now I'm going to select the states, and in the states it should only show me all the states, so I can see Gujarat and all different states, and if I will select them, now I see the different data according to those states. Let's go back one last time. If I will have let's salesperson first name. Now in the drop down it is showing me the first name, so you can see that Amir and all that, and all those first names are coming correct. I can select few names what I like, and it is showing me data for those names. So this is how you will be creating a cascading parameter report where you will be using multiple store procedures, and here you will be selecting name of the columns for that table, and then values will be shown up in the next cascading parameter, and that's how you will see all that report. This is pretty interesting. There is a lot to learn in this one, especially the dynamic SQL part, and it is challenging. When I was creating this report, I had some issues. I was trying to figure out, okay, why it's not even giving me a column name even I'm executing this dynamic SQL. So that's the kind of error you have to remember. It create a temporary table and drop it in the first, and load everything into that temporary table, and have the select statement from that temp table at the end of the store procedure, and it should return those column names in the report when you will execute. So thanks very much for watching this video, and all of that all of these scripts are available. I'm gonna put the link in the description of this video, so you can go from there, and they will be available on www.techbrothersit.com, and under the SSRS video tutorial there are other videos. They are very helpful if you would like to take a look. Thanks very much once again, and I will see you guys next time.